Good day everyone, welcome to the lecture series on power electronics. In this session we shall discuss single phase semi-converter with continuous load current. In previous sessions we have seen the operation of single phase full converter with discontinuous load current, and discontinuous load current would be disadvantageous, so it leads to poor performance of the load. In order to overcome that problem, so we can use a freewheeling diode in anti-parallel with the load. So that is what the solution suggested in order to improve the load performance in case load is having discontinuous load current. And of course, by adding some series inductance with the load, you can further improve the performance. And this kind of configuration is known as semi-converter. In semi-converter we have 2 thyristors and 3 diodes. So this is the one of way to realize semi-converter, so which has 2 thyristors and 3 diodes. And of course, in case of full converter we have 4 thyristors, and 2 of thyristors are replaced by the diodes. Overall we have 3 diodes and 2 thyristors in this particular configuration. Now, role of this freewheeling diode to make sure that load voltage won't become negative. So always, in case load voltage try to become negative, this freewheeling diode would be forward biased, and load current will freewheel through this particular diode. So it is known as freewheeling diode, and this improves the performance of the load. In fact, we assume that load current is continuous and ripple free also, and the reason for that is maybe load will have large value of inductance, and this freewheeling diode so further improves. There is no negative voltage that appear across the load, so there is more chance for the load current to become more and more smooth. And let me assume that load current is ripple free, so that it is always more or less constant, so ripple content is almost approaching to 0. So that is the assumption I will make in order to explain the operation of semi-converter. Now let us consider this is the input voltage. So Vs is equal to VAB, which is equal to Vm sin omega t, and VBA, so that is minus Vs, so that is shown with the dotted line. And usually thyristor 1 is going to be forward biased during positive half cycle, and thyristor 2 is going to be forward biased during the negative half cycle respectively. And of course, so diodes are also going to be forward biased and reverse biased in their corresponding cycles. So D1 is going to be forward biased along with the T1 during positive half cycle, and D2 is going to be forward biased along with T2 during the negative half cycle usually. So now let me assume that thyristor 1 and 2 are fired at alpha and pi plus alpha respectively. So gate pulses are given for T1 and T2 at alpha and pi plus alpha respectively, and of course, so same gating pattern is followed for next coming cycles also. So T1 is fired at 2 pi plus alpha and T2 is fired at 3 pi plus alpha, and so on. So I have considered 2 cycles of the input voltage waveform in order to explain the operation of single phase semi-converter. Now, so I assume that load current is ripple free, and this assumption is more or less valid. Yes, load inductance is highly high, and also this freewheeling diode further improves the load current, and I assume that load current is more or less ripple free. It is constant throughout the period. So whenever it is ripple free, its RMS value and average values are going to be equal, and that is also equal to instantaneous value throughout the time period of the operation consideration. So it is going to be constant. In fact, it is perfect DC, it is almost constant. So now coming to the operation, omega t ranging from alpha to pi. So see, at alpha T1 is fired, so T1 and D1 are going to they are coming into the conduction, so both are going to conduct, and corresponding the conduction path of the current, so that is from source to T1 and then load and coming back to the source through D1. This is the path. And while conducting, we assume that voltage drop across thyristor and diode are ideally 0. So let me assume that, and by making that assumption, so voltage across the load is same as VAB, which is same as Vs. So apply KVL for this conducting loop. You will get V naught is equal to VAB, that is equal to Vs. And coming to the load current, that is I0, which is equal to IT1, that is also equal to ID1. So source current is same as thyristor current, is same as load current, is same as diode current. So all are equal. All these currents are equal. And T2 and D2 are not conducting. So T2 and D2 are not conducting. Yes, they are going to be reverse biased by source voltage. Now you can see voltage across thyristor 2 is going to be negative, and D2 also going to be negative. And of course, load current is positive, and this positive load current is positive, and load voltage also positive. So the positive load voltage with this polarity would reverse bias the freewheeling diode. It also won't conduct. Only T1 and D2 are going to conduct, and these are voltage for output, current for output. So you can see ripple free current. So current through load is constant, and voltage across load during this interval is same as VAB. That is same as VAB. So alpha 2 pi. And coming to the source current, that is same as the load current during this period. So that is indicated this way. So it is same as this constant value. And during this period, T1 and D1 are conducting. So source current is same as diode current. One current is same as thyristor 1 current. Now what would happen from omega t ranging from pi to pi plus alpha? So during this period, so you can see at omega t is equal to pi, this source voltage is becoming negative. So load voltage just trying to become negative. By the time it become negative, this freewheeling diode would be forward biased. For negative output voltage, freewheeling diode is going to be forward biased. So this current, the load current would transfer, or simply it going to shift from, so this conducting path, that is through T1 and D1, it would shift from T1 D1 to freewheeling diode during this period. So freewheeling diode would conduct during this period. So due to negative voltage appearance across the load, so current would shift or transfer from the previous conducting path to this path. So current freewheels through freewheeling diode. And during this period, so drop across load is same as drop across freewheeling diode, which is 0 as freewheeling diode is conducting, and while diode conducting, voltage across that would be assumed to be 0 ideally. So let me take ideal diode, so it is 0. And coming to the current through load, that is same as freewheeling diode current. Current through load is same as freewheeling diode current. And I assume that load current is ripple free, so same current would flow through freewheeling diode also. Of course, it is not shown here, but so please note that current through freewheeling diode is same as the load current, which is almost constant. And what about source current? Yeah, none of the thyristors that are connected to source are conducting. So source current here is 0 during this period. Source current is 0. So that is what's shown graphically here. Load voltage is 0. Load current is also 0. So why load voltage is 0? Even though we have battery, so you can see, so this is the path of the conduction during this period. Voltage across overall load, that is resistor, inductor and battery together, is going to be same as drop across freewheeling diode. See, as long as this is conducting, voltage drop across the load is same as voltage drop across all these load components together, which is going to be 0 in this case. Okay, so until unless current to them is 0, so you cannot take it as E. So previously we have seen whenever load is not conducting, voltage across load is same as battery voltage, right? So that is not the case in this particular semi-converter configuration. Now what would happen from pi plus alpha to 2 pi? So you can see at pi plus alpha, T2 was already in forward bias, but it was not fired, so it is not conducting. So but at pi plus alpha, I am applying gate pulse to thyristor 2, so that would come into conduction. A positive voltage would appear across the load. So now you can see the current would be shifted from freewheeling diode to this path. So current would transfer from freewheeling diode path to this T2 and D2 path. You can see current start from source to terminal B, and then thyristor 2, and then coming back to load, and then so coming back to source via this diode to terminal A. This is the path. And during this period, because thyristor 2 and D2 are conducting, assuming they are ideal, voltage drop across them would be 0, and load voltage would be same as VBA during this period. So during pi plus alpha to 2 pi, so during this period, voltage across load is same as VBA, that is same as minus Vs. And coming to the load current, that is same as thyristor current, thyristor 2 current and diode 2 current. both are equal. And you can see that source current is in opposite to the direction of the load current flow. You can see source current conventional direction taken this way, and where load current is flowing opposite to that. So source current is minus of I0 during this period. So let us indicate these mathematical expressions graphically on these graphs. So we know the load current is same as minus Vs. So minus Vs are VBA. So from pi base alpha to 2 pi. So this VBA is shown with the dotted lines, dotted curve. So this is same as the load voltage. So that can be drawn here. And during this period, what are the conducting? T2 and D2 are conducting. That is what's shown here. So load current is going to be constant, and load current is same as thyristor 2 current, which is same as diode 2 current. Okay, both are conducting during this period. That is from pi plus alpha to 2 pi. And what about the source current? So source current is same as minus of the load current. So indicate that. So source current is same as minus of this value. So minus of that current. So this is operation during the omega t ranging from pi plus alpha to 2 pi. And what happens from 2 pi to 2 pi plus alpha? So at 2 pi to 2 pi plus alpha, so once again, so load voltage try to become negative. So once it start becoming negative, so free wheeling diode would come into conduction, as it is going to be forward biased. As I mentioned earlier, so whenever load voltage become negative, free wheeling diode would come into conduction. So that is this way. So current would be shifted from this path, that is T to D2 path, to free wheeling diode path. So the current will be shifted from outgoing thyristor and diode to incoming free wheeling diode. So that is this way. And during this period, load voltage becomes 0, and load current is same as free wheeling diode current. Source current is also going to be 0. So let you indicate that also graphically. So load voltage is 0 and load current is constant, and that is same as free wheeling diode current. Source current is 0. There is no current flowing through source. You can see load current is flowing through free wheeling diode. So there is no source contribution. So source current is going to be 0 during this period. So this is the operation of this semi-converter from pi alpha to 2 pi plus alpha. So for this particular complete cycle, this is the operation. And same thing would repeat for remaining cycles also. So same kind of wave shape you can find for remaining cycles also. So you can see 2 pi plus alpha to 3 pi. So T1, D1 are conducting, and during this period, so free wheeling diode would conduct, and so on. So same operation would repeat. So please do analysis by your own for remaining cycles, and you will find this kind of wave shape for remaining cycles also, right? And of course, from omega t is equal to 0 to alpha also, you will have voltage, output voltage, and output current, input currents are going to be 0, where the output current is same as free wheeling diode current. So these are the waveforms. Now, what is your observation? So observation is that load voltage again is completing 2 cycles within 1 cycle completion of the source voltage. So frequency of load voltage or load current, of course load current is almost constant. Load current is almost constant. It is almost DC, so you can take its frequency as almost 0. Of course, its average value and RMS values are equal, and that is equal to instantaneous value throughout the period, throughout the conducting period of the load. Now load frequency is 2 times of the supply frequency. So in order to compute average or RMS value of load voltage, one has to consider only off cycle. So one has to consider only alpha to pi plus alpha only. So let us try to compute average and RMS values. And before that, you should know the mathematical expression for V0, I0 and IS respectively. Let us try to do that. So V0 is equal to Vm sin omega t from alpha to pi, and it is equal to 0 from pi to pi plus alpha. So we know the mathematical expression for V0 from alpha to pi plus alpha. So this can be used to compute the average and RMS values. And what about load current? Load current is constant, so its average value and RMS values are going to be equal because it is ripple free. And how to find out this value? So this value is same as average value of load current, which is equal to average value of load voltage minus battery voltage by R for ripple free case. So that already we have derived in previous class. Refer my previous lectures. Of course, I will show you the derivation again. So that is load current, average value of load current is equal to average value of output voltage minus battery voltage by resistance value. So assuming and that is true because the average value of inductor voltage is equal to 0. So now coming to the source current, you can see the source current is equal to I naught from alpha to pi, and that is equal to 0 from pi to pi plus alpha, minus I naught from pi plus alpha to 2 pi, and 0 again from 2 pi to 2 pi plus alpha. So source current frequency is same as source voltage frequency. In fact, source quantities are having same frequency, that is equal to supply frequency. So in order to compute its RMS value, you have to consider complete cycle. But if you see, it is symmetric. So considering RMS value for half cycle itself is also going to be sufficient. Now, anyway, let us see the derivation of average value of output voltage and output currents, RMS value of output voltages and output currents. So now consider average value of output voltage. You know that you have to integrate V naught overall from pi to pi plus alpha, and you have to take its mean by dividing it by pi. So you do that, and while doing, we know that the value of V naught is equal to Vm sin omega t from alpha to phi, and it is equal to 0 from phi to phi plus alpha. So do not consider integration from pi to pi plus alpha, as it does not contribute anything after the value of voltage itself is 0. So I will consider only integration from alpha to pi, and take after finding its value, you would get this as average value Vm by pi into 1 plus cos alpha. So this is the formula for average voltage across the load for semi-conductor. Now coming to RMS value, you do it the similar way. You will get this as RMS value. So we know the formula for computing RMS value is this. So you have to integrate its square of the voltage from alpha to pi plus alpha. Of course, pi to pi plus alpha is 0, so consider alpha to pi only. The integration has to be considered from alpha to pi only, and take its mean value, apply square root, and by doing that you get, so this formula Vm by root 2 pi into square root pi minus alpha plus half into sin 2 alpha. This is the formula for RMS value. Okay, please do it by own, so you will get this value. Okay, so please try to go for simplification, and you must get this value. And if you have any difficulty, and anyway, so please give me feedback whether this value is true or not. Anyway, now the average value of output current. So once again, so this is the formula, so do it. And for RLE load, voltage across load, average value of voltage across inductor is 0. So from this fact, you will get average value of output voltage equal to average value of voltage across resistor plus battery voltage, and from this fact you would get the average value of the output current is equal to V naught minus E by R, where V naught is average value of voltage, that is given by Vm by pi into 1 plus cos alpha, E is battery voltage, and R is resistance offered by resistance of the load, so resistance value of load. Okay. Now once you compute, you can find out RMS value also. So assuming the load current is ripple free, so load is having high inductance, so load current is assumed to be ripple free. In that particular case, RMS value is same as the average value. So that is what we have considered as assumption for explanation of semiconductor. So it is true. RMS value of input voltage, that is equal to Vm by root 2, and RMS value of input current. So we know from the previous slide, we know the source current expression is this. So it is going to be I naught from alpha to pi, and it is equal to 0 from pi to pi plus alpha, and it is equal to minus I naught from pi plus alpha to 2 pi, and 0 again from pi to 2 pi to 2 pi plus alpha. So use that expression in order to compute the RMS value. And if you compute the RMS value of input current, so this is the formula, and in this formula substitute the values and simplify further, you would get the RMS value is equal to I naught, that is RMS value of the output current, into square root pi minus alpha by pi. So what is this pi? This is the complete half period. And what is this pi minus alpha? This is the conduction period of the input source during this first cycle. So now we know, so alpha to pi we have contribution from the source, and pi to pi plus alpha there is no contribution from the source. In fact, current would free will through diode. So for this period you can compute RMS value, no need to consider this period. So that is pi plus alpha to pi plus alpha, because it is symmetric in nature. So we have seen while computing RMS value, if you find the current or voltage is symmetric with respect to half cycle, so it is odd symmetric in fact, I'm sorry, of course, so it is not exactly arc symmetric, but time, if you shift it by some time, then you would see that this is going to be symmetric, odd or even symmetric. So for this case, you can compute only for this particular period, that is 0 to pi, or else you can compute for overall time period also. So still you will get still you will get this kind of formula. So I naught into square root pi minus alpha by pi, where pi minus alpha is conduction period of the source during the positive half cycle, and pi is the period in angle, in radians per second, so to complete half cycle. Now anyway, so coming to input power factor, we know, so ripple free current, so I naught is equal to IOR is equal to V naught minus E by R, and input power factor is equal to power supplied by source by input VA, which is equal to power consumed by load by input VA. So power consumed by the load is equal to P naught, which is equal to so if you derive properly, you will see that power absorbed by load is same as V naught into I naught. So already we have seen this derivation in our previous lectures, so please go through that. So it is simple to understand. So we know P naught is equal to current absorbed by the power absorbed by the resistor plus power absorbed by battery, and IOR is same as I naught. So if you substitute that, so you would get the power absorbed by load is equal to average value of output voltage into average value of output current. Substitute that in this formula. So P naught is equal to V naught into I naught by Vs into Is. And what is Vs? Vs is equal to Vm by root 2. And what is Is? Is is equal to I naught into pi minus alpha by pi square root. So you can substitute these values in this equation, and we know V naught is equal to Vm by pi into 1 plus cos alpha. Substitute that. Vs is equal to Vm by root 2. I naught is, and Is is equal to I naught into pi minus alpha by pi. So substitute all of them, you and simplify further, you get the exact value of input power factor. I leave it to you. So simple substitution, anywhere can do it. So please do it and let me know what is your answer. Give me your feedback to my mail ID in the description. And of course, in case this in case load is RL load, so in that case battery is absent, you can take E is equal to 0, and you can follow the same formulas to compute the input power factor. Yeah. Now coming to thyristor and diode currents. So you can see that thyristors are going to conduct overall, if you consider overall cycle, that is 2 pi radians, thyristors are going to conduct for only pi minus alpha period. Okay, each thyristor, so both of them are going to conduct for that period. And similarly, if you consider 2 pi radians, so complete cycle, so the freewheeling diode is going to conduct for alpha and alpha again, so 2 alpha times. So now compute the average value of thyristor. So for all thyristors and diodes except freewheeling diode, so they are going to have same average value, same RMS value. Of course, freewheeling diode will have same different RMS value of current and different average value of current when compared to all other thyristors and diodes. So here ITA is equal to IT1A is equal to ID1A, that is equal to ID2A, that is equal to ID2A. So average value of all these thyristor 1 and 2, diode 1 and 2 are going to be same. Of course, RMS values are also going to be same. So let to compute them. If you compute using the formula, so this is the formula to compute average value. So compute it, and you know during this period value, you can see that the value of the thyristor 1 current is equal to I naught from alpha to pi, and remaining period it is going to be 0. So substitute that, you will get the average value of thyristor current is equal to I naught into pi minus alpha by 2 pi. So this is the thyristor average current. Similarly, thyristor RMS current, so use this formula. So this is the formula to compute RMS value. So you have to square the thyristor current, and you have to take its mean and apply square root. So you get I naught into square root pi minus alpha by 2 pi. So this is the value of thyristor current. So assuming that load current is ripple free. Now coming to diode currents, so diode currents also you can find out for overall period. So from 0 to 2 pi, you can see it is going to conduct from alpha period and alpha period, so total 2 alpha. So from that you can compute the average value, that is equal to I naught into alpha by pi. So assuming load current is ripple free, you will get this as the diode average current. And diode RMS current, so I naught into square root alpha by pi. So use similar kind of formulas. So please do your own derivation. You should arrive at this particular formulas for average and RMS currents of the freewheeling diode. So coming to circuit turn-off time, it is also very important. So I have mentioned that circuit turn-off time should be more than the device turn-off time. So let us see what is circuit turn-off time. We know the operation of this particular semiconductor, and we have assumed that load current is ripple free. For this particular assumption, so we know alpha 2 pi T1 and D1 are going to conduct. So in order to find out circuit turn-off time for both thyristors, I would consider only thyristor 1 voltage, because thyristor 2 voltage also would have similar kind of wave shape with some time shift. So I would consider only thyristor 1 voltage. So let me consider that. So from alpha to pi, so T1 and D1 are conducting. So T1 voltage would be 0 during conduction period. Its conduction period. Okay. So that is what's shown here. It is equal to 0. And from pi to pi plus alpha, freewheeling diode is going to conduct. That is this way. So from pi to pi plus alpha, freewheeling diode is conducting. And during this period, if you find out the thyristor voltage, apply KVL for this path. And if you apply KVL for this path or thyristor 1 and then throw the load, and this way, if you apply KVL, then you will see that VAB, that is source voltage, is equal to VT1 plus VD1, thyristor 1 voltage plus diode voltage. And assuming diode voltage is very small, so you will see that most of the voltage drop would takes place across thyristor 1. So that is what is shown here. So source voltage is is equal to thyristor 1 voltage plus diode voltage. And let me take this as the thyristor voltage drop contribution. So this is what, of course it is negative, it is going to be negative only. Okay, you can see it is going to be negative. So this negative voltage is equal to VD1 plus VT1. So I did not show VD1 here. So VT1 is important. Okay, VT1 is important because you should know the circuit turn-off time for the thyristors. So let us see the voltage of across thyristor. That is this way, it is negative. And what happens from pi plus alpha to 2 pi? So T2 and D2 are going to conduct. That is this way. While T2 and D2 are going to conduct, so whenever T2 is going to conduct, so this terminal B is short circuited to this particular the cathode terminal of the thyristor 1. So voltage up across this thyristor 1, that is VT1, is equal to VAB during this period. And what is VAB? So that is shown this way. So you can see this is VAB during period, that is pi plus alpha to 2 pi. So that is what is shown here. That is what is shown here. So this thyristor 1 voltage during this period is same as source voltage, which is negative. Now what happens from 2 pi to 2 pi plus alpha? Freewheeling diode would conduct, and during this period again VAB is equal to VT1 plus VD1. So let me take and of course VT1 and VD1 both are going to be positive. Let me take this as the voltage up across thyristor. This is the voltage drop sharing across the thyristor T1. So this is the voltage across the thyristor 1 during the period omega t ranging from alpha to 2 pi plus alpha, and this is for complete cycle. Same thing would repeat for remaining cycles also. Now if you consider this complete cycle during this period, you can see that thyristor is reverse biased from pi to 2 pi, right? You can see. So thyristor current was made 0 at omega t is equal to pi, right? So here there is no current was made 0, and in fact current is transferred from thyristor 1 to freewheeling diode. So it is made 0 and then reverse voltage is applied at this moment, and this reverse voltage would appear across thyristor from pi to 2 pi. So this is the reverse biased period for thyristor 1, and this is same as omega into Tc. So that is circuit turn-off time for thyristor 1. And of course for thyristor 2 also you would see that circuit turn-off time is also equal. So as thyristor 1 circuit turn-off time, both are going to be equal. For thyristor 1 and thyristor 2, circuit turn-off times are going to be equal. Now from this formula you can find out circuit turn-off time in seconds, that is equal to pi by omega, where omega is supply frequency in radians per second. So this way one can compute the circuit turn-off time, and of course we can also find out the peak inverse voltage. And if alpha is less than 90 degrees, you can see that peak inverse voltage is equal to Vm, that is same as peak value of source voltage. In case if alpha is more than the 90 degrees, then you need to be very careful. Okay, you need to find out. Okay, you need to draw a graph and you need to find out. Okay, that depends on the alpha also. Of course, for alpha less than 90, it is always equal to Vm. So peak inverse voltage across each thyristor is same as Vm. So this is about the operation of semi-converter. Okay, single phase semi-converter. So, thank you.